All right, welcome back. This is Washington Watch. I'm Tony Perkins, your host. Just before the Christmas break, President Joe Biden nominated to the 11th Circuit Court of Appeals a political activist, Nancy Abudu, who works as the Director for Strategic Litigation at the anti-Christian Southern Poverty Law Center. Now, in response, Family Research Council and a coalition of more than 50 individuals and organizations sent a letter yesterday to the chairman and ranking member of the Senate Judiciary Committee in opposition to the nominee. Here with me now to give us the latest on this nomination is Senator Chuck Grassley of Iowa, who is the ranking member of the Senate Judiciary Committee. Senator, welcome back to the program.
Glad to be with you, Tony. Thank you very much. And you said the words Southern Poverty Law Center. You probably know that organization said you were head of a terrorist organization, which maybe speaks to the point about why somebody like Nancy Abudu should not be on the 11th Circuit Court.
You're absolutely right. They have made a history of targeting conservatives and more of a pit bull for the left than they are a arbiter of who is in bounds or who can play and who cannot in the political arena. And the fact that she works for them clearly shows that she has an agenda. She's an advocate. Is this the type of individuals we need on the court? Can we trust them to be fair in their decisions?
I would think that we would want, and I want, on the court, a person who is going to interpret law the way Congress intended it to be written, and the Constitution according to original intent. In other words, what the Constitution writers intended in the Constitution. That's the narrow boundaries with what a judge should do. But when somebody like Nancy Abudu gets on the court, you kind of figure they have an agenda. And we can't ever get this information out of them, but what is their judicial philosophy? They don't want to tell us. We're kind of interested, are they strict constructionists or do they believe in what we call an evolving constitution? And if they're for the latter, then that gives a chance for them to put their personal views into making a decision. And that isn't what we should be doing. Courts are supposed to interpret law according to what Congress intended when we pass it, not put their own personal views into it. And the same way with the Constitution, according to the originators of the Constitution. If you want to change the Constitution, you don't have Supreme Court judges change it. You amend the Constitution.
Well, I think we're seeing a trend here. More than 92% of Joe Biden's court picks got a no vote from more than 25% of senators. Now that compares to only 18.2% at the same point in former President Obama's tenure. Now, this is according to the Heritage Foundation's Judicial Appointments Tracker. Are we seeing more radical extremists being nominated under the Biden administration than we did Obama?
Well, that's what we think, and that's why most Republicans have opposed most of these nominees. And I suppose it's going to be a few years down the road until we know for sure. But when you can't get them to tell you what their judicial philosophy is, whether they're for emerging constitution, an evolving constitution or not, you really don't know. When you get done with 5 minutes of questioning, or if you want to go a second round, 10 minutes of questioning, but you can't seem to get much more information out of them. Another issue here, though, isn't just the issue you brought up. With not only Nancy Abudu, but with a lot of other judges that this president has nominated, you find that they come from a very narrow area of the law, either a criminal defense or liberal advocacy, and I guess you'd put Nancy in this latter category. And as opposed to you want to judge. There's nothing wrong with being a defense attorney. I wouldn't say that, or even if you're a liberal advocate. But if that's as narrow as you've had experience in the law before you go on the courts, I think we ought to have a broader background than just that for people getting a lifetime appointment.
Absolutely. And the reason this one is drawing more attention than most, I mean, you've got 3 levels. You've got district court levels, which oftentimes are just, those are just kind of pushed through. Nobody pays a whole lot of attention to a district court judge. I mean, relatively speaking. You get to the appellate court, obviously that's more significant because there is where court cases get bumped up to the highest court, which is the Supreme Court. Now, Nancy Abudu, she is an appellate court. This is one I would think that the Republicans should be paying very close attention to.
Well, not only with Nancy Abudu, but we've ran into this with almost every nominee to a circuit court. And that's why most Republicans have opposed most of these nominees, particularly the circuit court. And in fact, this level of judiciary is so great that out of 2,000 cases that the Supreme Court is asked to take, they generally only make decisions on 70 to 80 in the course of a year. So that may be, 1 or 2% of all the cases they're asked to take. So in the other 98% of the cases, the Circuit Court of Appeals is the final determinant of what the law is or what the Constitution is.
Yeah, and I don't think people realize the difference in those, and that's why these, I think, deserve greater scrutiny. So let me ask you, Senator Grassley, what's the line for you when you are looking at these judicial nominees, when you say, I can't vote for this one? What's that line for you?
I think I've probably said this 3 times now, but not in the same context of your question. I'm looking for somebody that's going to interpret the Constitution according to original intent. I'm looking for somebody that's going to determine the constitutionality of statute according to the intent of the legislative body that wrote it. I want them to leave their own personal views out. In addition, in a more general way, I would say you want somebody that's got good, broad legal background, not necessarily having to graduate from Harvard or Yale, although that's where most of the Supreme Court nominees have come from. But the point is that you want people to have strong knowledge of the law. But the most important thing is what we call judicial temperament, which is to leave their own personal views out of it, out of any decision they make.
To me, that sounds exactly what the Senate should be doing when they look at a judicial nominee, is that, number one, the Constitution is at the top because that's the agreement by which we all agree to be governed. And if they will not abide by the Constitution, or if they see it as this living, breathing document that can change at any moment, to me, that spells trouble.
I think that Democrats feel that judges ought to be politicians, and the only difference is they got a robe on.
And they get lifetime appointments.
And lifetime appointments, yes. They don't have to stand for election like those of us in the United States Senate or House of Representatives.
That's right. Senator, always great to talk with you. We're going to be tracking this one very, very closely because I think this is a dangerous nomination.
It is, and I want to thank your organization, the Family Research Council, because you helped me so much in 2015 and 16 when we were holding up the nomination of Judge Garland. I was chairman of the committee at that time, and you helped us fight that battle. I got through a very tough re-election at that particular time, but we were able to get Gorsuch, a constitutional conservative, on the Supreme Court as a result of your support of our efforts to not move ahead with Judge Garland that Obama thought should be on the Supreme Court.
Always glad to help to defend the Constitution and preserve the Republic.
Yeah, thank you very much.
All right, Senator.